My name is Sergio Pomanola. I have more than 30 years working in the industry, in the alimentary industry, food industry. So with this food industry, and I'm sure everybody agree with me that it's a high-tech industry. It's almost near farmers, but it's the small brother who always looking for the money, for the sand. Traditionally, it's all the chain, the food chain. It's very competitive. Should be very competitive because price is central in food. Price is very sensitive in food. And of course, if you are able to reduce a little bit price, you have a lot of benefits. And there are large multinationals thanks to this price sensitive. But everything of this has changed a little bit in the last 5 years. There has been the big change that the consumer has take the power. They have take the power. He decide that they don't want these cheap ingredients anymore, not expensive ingredients. Basically, they don't want ingredients. They only want natural products. They only want unprocessed food, healthy, to be healthy. And, but at least it has decided to pay a little bit more. That's, well, okay, good, at least something good for us. But what we have as industry is that education is focusing, telling everybody that ingredients are something terrible. And you should eat healthy food that is natural, unprocessed. The governments are against industry telling, okay, no, you don't want to sell any cheap, tasty product because people is going to consume. And then it's a joke. The industry wants to sell products. But what do the industry? Industry has adapted and has said, okay, I will tell you what you want. And then there is a large number of products that are in the market now with a large number of claims that are about energy, nutrition, that are about immunity, that are about anti-aging, that are about the brain, and all this about microbiota, of course, that is the big claim. And everything is related to the gut. And that's the sense of this session, is understanding this opportunity a little bit better with the science. Sorry. Okay. A little bit understanding the gut. This is a little bit more science. If you want, we try to do very fast. But also talking about the main areas of market development and the trends in gut health. Then, of course, we are talking about the gut. And the gut is science. Science is natural science, and natural science has a problem because math and chemistry and physics has a lot of rules. It's very easy. But biological science are based on the evolution, the region of life. As the main sense of this science. It's not logical, it's irrational, it's casual, and they have very few rules, but they have some at least. One of them, of course, is the lytic energy, this obsession of reproduction based on DNA. Everybody knows, but what is critical really in the evolution is not the reproduction by itself, it's the interaction to develop a symbiotic or pathogenic relationship. You must understand the first two cells when they was in the first time they found, the most critical was to understand if they are friends or they are enemies. And that's the sense, the main force. And the gut contains our main contact with the other species. We have thousands of species, and the gut is still in evolution. The gut is the place where the evolution is going stronger. And that's relevant in this case also. And the last is all living cells are covered by sugars. There are very few rules, but this is the last one. This is true. And this is because the sugar structure, we are talking a lot about sugars in this session because sugars are involved in all the axes we are going to talk. And then let's talk about, okay, the relevance of the sugars. And this is because sugars is seen to be the origin of life and its evolution. Sugars have been growing in synthetic way as a pluri-sugars, complex sugars. And these complex sugars has been recognized by proteins. And this effect of growing synthetic sugars that has recognized with proteins, that it's a synthetic area, has been going in coevolution to develop DNA and all the future examples. This is a theoretical research from Hirabashi in Japan, but it's the sense that sugars are not energy, are a lot of things. Then let's continue to understand the complexity of the gut. And then there was bacteria, there was archaeobacteria previously, but the question was, okay, no, yes, we are just right now, that, but let's go previously. There was the eukaryota. It was the first success in evolution. There was a combination of a very good cooker, that was the father or the mother, whatever can you put here, that it was able to take the best energy from sugars. And there was the mitochondria. There was thing to be a symbiosis from one kind of mitochondria with another cell. The other cell was a very special cell that contains a Golgi. Golgi was a sugar production machine that was able to produce a large number of sugars, much better than any other previous species. And that's the main, the start of the combination of some cell that was looking for the energy of sugars and was at the cell that was filling of sugars all around the world. It was the origin of the ecological explosion in the world with pluricellulars and filling sugars all around the world. All around the world is full of sugars. You see plants, it's all sugars in symbiosis. And what is relevant to understand the gut also is that the Homo sapiens is only 200,000 years in existence in the Earth as a species. That means that it's something a stupid thing that the bacteria has adapted to us. It's we have adapted them. We are able to live with them. Then when everybody is talking about the human microbiota, is another thing. It's the microbiota that is able to live with us. But it's not our microbiome that has adapted to us. We have select some bacteria. Then it's very relevant because the force of the evolution in the gut is always this interaction because with eukaryota and its microbiome, the starting one. Later it was with the same eukaryota. This, I'm not going to go deeper on that. But of course, this interaction is the origin of the immunity. The Golgi is the origin of the immunity and the immune recognition system. And also the glycans in eukaryotas are used as decoys to avoid mutation adhesion. It seems to be that it's casual. It's not. It's the results of thousands of million years of evolution that these substances are interacting with us. And as I tell you, it doesn't exist, the human microbiome. It's the evolution. And then let's talk about a little bit what we are doing as a species to live with our microbiome. And then the plants use sugars in its roots to attract, to increase the bacterial biomass around its roots. Then it's a question to attract symbiotic beneficial bacteria, and they use secondary plant metabolites to modify this structure. This is a standard. We have a lot of secondary plant metabolites. We are eukaryota. The plants are eukaryota. We come from the same origin. We will see we have some structures that are common, and that's one of the substances we are using to supply our customers. In the humans, we are using the relevant products to control microbiome. Of course, are more selective or less selective. But most of them are sugars. If you say the fibers and gums and heteroacids are based on the effect is based on sugars. Of course, polyphenols are a mixture of sugars and insoluble and soluble parts of the molecules and all the benefits to control the microbiome. Most of them are based on sugars. Of course, not always. There are some proteins and there are some lipids. But what is relevant is to understand that in this area, the development is very complex because sugars, what it has, it are very difficult to analyze. You cannot analyze sugars. You can analyze proteins. You can analyze with high pressure chromatography, but sugars are very difficult to analyze, and that has been delaying all the development that was based on the sugars. In Oxford was thinking a revolution in sugars in the 95, but it is still pending because it's not possible still to analyze this kind of products. And then, okay, I don't know. We can go further on that. But what is relevant is to understand that all these axes that we are going to talk, most of the sugars are involved in this area. We are talking about beta. It's almost the similar effects what we are talking with a beta-glucan, with human milk oligosaccharides. The idea of this effect of sugars with the body is what we are developing is very complex and very easy to understand at the same time. And then this is the microbiome and the interaction with the sugars. But if we look the endpoints of oligosaccharides that is accepted by the International Prebiotics and Probiotics Association, you will see that these oligosaccharides, of course, are sugars, but they are not related only to energy. You will see there the other part. You will see brain. You will see neurochemical producing bacteria. You will see also immunity, of course, aging. You see different effects in elderly and infants. And all these axes are what is what we're going to talk, of course. Then let's go again back and see the origin of these multiple axes in the gut. And then I will try to go very fast on this area because it's a little bit technical, but only to give you the ideas, the complexity that is behind this evolution. Then first is the cell infrastructure, that it's eukaryota. This was an organ development that it was with the first protist. It was, and this last, and then there was the involvement of the nervous system control as a central tool to control the gut. Then I make a summary of all the elements here. What is more relevant is that all these elements are related to this market that is we are pretended to comply or to send products. And when we are talking about gut health, we are talking about mitochondria, what we have said. We are talking about the Golgi that we have said that are the basic infrastructures, but we are talking about the sensors of the cell that are the sensors, transports, and internal transports that all of them give an instinctive response to the cell. That is an infrastructure of health that we must understand if we want to develop a product in this area. Then there was the organ development, but one of the areas of very interest is mitophagy. I don't know if you have an idea on that. And mitophagy is the effect of mitochondria that any cell is able to auto-control its growth or in presence of nutrients. If we have no nutrients, the mitochondria dies. If there is a lot of nutrients, this mitochondria starts to metabolize and to give energy. But it's an auto-control. This effect, it's also not in mitochondria, in macrophagus. Macrophagus makes exactly the same effect, but macrophagus was a next step in this area. They have this control with when there are nutrients. I am active. When there is no nutrients, there is no active. That it's called what we will see later, a complement system. But this was there was a second stage when there was a pluricellular that there is all the breaking down system that you know. It's really, really complex. But what is, and then what is the next, all the eukaryote contains more or less the same structures or similar structures. But the main change for humans was vertebrates was the first to have a system nervous control on the gut because the complexity of the food they are taking. And then starting from this complexity, they develop a central system to control all these processes. And also, they bring mainly the jowed vertebrates. They bring a thymus, some specialized organs to bring an adaptive immunity and to be able to not only have these macrophages that are innate immunity against the classical pathogens that was known for millions of years previously, but now these jowed people was eating novel things every day. That was adapted to this novel food, and that's this was a second that is common to all vertebrates. But what is not common to all vertebrates is the cell science and culture, and that's the final point of the development. That has bring more complexity and more problems instead of benefits, and we will see. And then let's make a summary. Okay, the region of the gut axis is this changing environment and this contact with microbiota, but also this changing environment of antibiotics, hygiene, the diet, this globalization has made a high pressure on microbiome and our gut, and this high pressure on our gut has bring these novel challenges that are these novel diseases that never 10 years ago, never was understanding why we have all this high explosion of novel diseases, and all that is now related to the gut, to the gut. Then one of the main defense we have is the gut, is the macrophagus. This is in food. It's absolutely relevant because it's they are activated by food and desactivated when there is no food. But microbiome is able to overcome this defense, these activities. It's a very complex process, and we must. There are a lot of sugars that are activating these macrophages, and are the base of most of the solutions we are proposing to our customers. Adaptogens, for instance, are based on that. When we talk about ginseng, we are talking about a product that has a sugar that we cannot analyze. We cannot show a dose response effect, but we know that it's activating these macrophages and giving a benefit to all the axes that we are projecting from this effect. And that's something we must, it's science, but it's something we must understand because we are technology sellers, and we must understand what we are selling for the customers or for ourselves, of course. And then now with this macrophages, or with this immune system, we must live in balance. This dynamic of evolution, we must live in balance with the microbiota. We are pressed very much with antibiotics, with diet, and the solution we are offering to our customers that want natural products is help the body to fight. It's a traditional solution from Hippocrates. It's exactly what they want. And then what we can do this with science, and that's what we should do. At least we can do as charlatans, or we can do with a scientific base. But we should do something like that. And then the other big area of science that is behind this gut axis is this autophagy mechanism, metaphages mechanism that are based on a longer life. There are a lot of products that stimulate the auto reparation of the body with the macrophages, and that's. But for instance, if we make a starvation, we are stimulating our macrophages, and that's something that some companies has developed. Mimetics of the stimulation of starvation. And then you are selling a mimetic of starvation to stimulate macrophages. And that scientifically makes sense. It's something that is there is scientists behind. Then maybe it's possible to develop claims on that. No? And then what is relevant is the brain. This is the last axis to be added. It was very recently, only with vertebrates, and with and this probably the more complex has been more complex in this axis. This is the thymus organ that I said, but for instance, something to have in mind is the relationship of the brain with immunity with cytokines. When you are, for instance, when you are ill, all the animals and you feel sick, and you stop, and you feel with no hunger, you start a starvation process, and when you're, because there was a link with inflammatory cytokines with the brain to make this this reaction, and this is the gut-brain axis that you can take profit if you are able to control this cytokine storm. Maybe by a stimulation of macrophages, you can, 5 minutes? Okay, I will go fast, okay. The gut is not now a digestive organ, it's a sensory organ, really. We have a lot of transport, and there is a complex that I don't go to go deeper on that, of course. But I'm interested on that. This was the main revolution in 2010. Is the idea that everybody knows this serotonin. Now it's known that serotonin is the effect of rewarding of life, and dopamine is based on pleasure experience. But this pleasure experience, it's also the source of an aggressivity and starving. And then there was people from research that was developing this, was considering to explore the inconscient brain. Okay, sorry. And then they was thinking how to modify perceptions to improve the pleasure experience, as the main motivator. Was not looking to the needs, was looking to improve the pleasure. That's the present tendency in marketing. You must improve the pleasure because you are improving the movement of the consumption of the people. That's central in marketing. But in the case of food, it's against the serotonin effect that is to have a healthy life. That is bring it. I would like to go deeper on that, but I don't know if I have time. It's about the serotonin is produced by an indirect effect with a slow release of glucose, and then when you are after eating, if you feel quiet because you have a serotonin improving your serotonin after a meal. If you are eating refined sugars, you have a peak of dopamine that stimulates you, gives you pleasure, but when on starvation, they make you feel sick and return to the action. And that's the terrible link that that has bring the problems on obesity. That's the last thing on gut axis scientifically. We have understand now in marketing that the pleasure is the main motivator. Also, we have understand from science that culture is our group of reference. We are not, we as a species need use the culture as a way to adapt to a novel products. And that's essential in consumer health. Consumer health needs a reference to decide. This is not, of course, the group of reference might be science, but it's not the reference of any of the most of the consumers. Consumers don't think on science when they think on its reference. And that's something that is central in the axis development actually in the market. The market is developing in two areas, mainly. One is the disruptive technology. Of course, it's the tradition of big companies. They want to maintain its leadership, and they want to invest in that. This is another, we talk a little bit of what they are doing, but the consumer health, it's incredible. They look only sensorial things. They look the efficacy based on testimonials and personalization. They don't look about science. Doesn't matter science for them. Any technology is less is more. As less information is better for them. They only want storytelling that makes sense for its reference, cultural reference. That's what is very interesting because technology and science and innovation is the last they doesn't matter. Has to make sense, and that it's a problem because you at the end there must be an education of customers in science. That it's something probably you know that is very difficult. Okay, let's only review the main. There are a lot of areas of research. I selected only microbiome because microbiome in medicine and microbiome in food. And then this is from the Chronic Colitis Association. Then they make a summary of what is doing in the market. Then from science, they summary that the single probiotics are not conclusive. There are no valid in digestive health. But probiotic consortia is promising. Then there are investors, are Ceres and Vedanta. You don't know if what these kind of companies, but basically they are doing are specific consortia instead of one strain. And it seems possible to succeed, finally to get a claim. But single probiotics and fecal metal transfer, it's not conclusive at all. Digestive is going to, now it's a company that was on science, and now it's going to be on not medicine. It was in medicine, sorry, not in science, it was in medicine, and now it's going to be on dietary. That it seems to be that it's possible to sell something that it's not scientific. I don't know. That's but they transfer all its science to a market that accepts its products. Then the other is it's not only probiotics. There are a lot of research on pathobionts, and then there's a lot of research on bacteriophages that has been successful, and there are a lot of applications in medicine, but also in food. You know, Derlan are using this, and other companies, bacteriophages in food health, but also is looking for that has approvals in the United States that it's possible to be translated next year in Europe. But in USA, there are food products based instead of antibiotics. It's okay? Oh no. 1 minute? Okay. Okay, there was, okay, the research is the areas of research in food. Okay, it's what you know, yeah? Because it's soluble fibers, gums, pectins, vitamins and minerals are not products developed to fix an organ in the gut, but to maintain the healthy structure of the cell life. And this is why you are using also salts and vitamins and minerals for immunity to maintain these cells. That it's, in this case, it's the structure of the gut must be supplied with this kind of substance. And then let's see. Okay, I make a summary. I was to show you the regressive educational concept in healthy food that we have now. Now, if you ask your children, they will say healthy food is traditional, healthy food is non-processed, ultra-processed is ultra-unhealthy, but you will see that a dietist. You go there and you ask, and they will say that healthy food are no ingredients, and the consumers are vulnerable, and the industry is never aware enough of the damage it's doing always. But in any case, we are doing that. We are selling prebiotics, postbiotics, extracts, vitamins, salts. And maybe why biotech fermentation is giving a join in all these pretensions with linking natural products with cheap products. And it's something that makes sense in the next future. Then let's finish with these projections that science must introduce faster internal changes, but must be reinvented. This is this trend in the functional holistic, but it's not possible that children now still understand that sugars are simple sugars and complex sugars. It's more complex, and they must be reinvented. And consumers are the main losers. They're applying the trial and error process. These margins are not extendable. It's better to take profit of this tendency now, because in 5 years it's not possible to continue this trend of paying and paying and paying. But now it's a big business, and we must take care on that. And it's, of course, it's better an harmony of industry with governments, because these regressive trends, again, the industry don't respond with the reality. And that's my final conclusion. And thank you.